Welcome back to the TV show, everybody. I'm Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, both books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today, I'm going to be reviewing When the Sacred Ginmill Closes by Lawrence Block. This is book number 6 in his Matthew Scudder investigator series set in New York City. Okay, let's talk about this. Came out in 1986. Let's talk about the cover. I mean, I don't know how many Matthew Scudder novels there are. Let me see. Well, we'll just go over here to my collection of Matthew Scudder novels. And they're all right there. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I think there's about 17 or 18, maybe 21. Fucking no idea. No fucking idea. There's a bunch. It's a shit ton of them. We're at number 6, though. The cover, yeah. I like this cover. I don't know why. It's kind of foggy and faded and gritty, but that's kind of like the book. It's real gritty. Each one of these Matthew Scudder mysteries are like mini Martin Scorsese movies. That's kind of the way I look at them. They're just very gritty in that way. Just Francis Ford Coppola, Scorsese-esque. I just like them. Actually, one of these Scudder books was made into a movie. Something about the tombstones with Liam Neeson. Can't remember the title of it. It's over there. A Walk Among the Tombstones. Yes, that's it. Watch that movie if you want to get an idea of what these books are like. So, Matthew Scudder is an ex-cop, and he's in a restaurant, and there's a holdup. Someone holds up the restaurant. It's an Irish bar, actually, called Morrissey's. And what happens is a lot of money is taken from the bar during the holdup, and everybody just sort of sits there because the guys have guns, and their faces are covered. And then once the holdup is over, the owner he doesn't want anybody to say anything. He doesn't want the cops called. He just wants to keep it all on the down low. And this gets Matthew Scudder a little bit suspicious. Like, what's going on? Did they rob their own place? And why did they rob their own place? Anyway, the robbers are actually known as Frank and Jesse James. That's kind of the moniker they're given. And that's basically the whole gist of the mystery. Why do the owners want to cover up this crime? What's really going on? Who's Frank and Jesse? Why did they hold it up? Were they in cahoots with the owners? Is this some sort of scam or con or money laundering scheme or whatever? And so we get involved with con men, the Irish mob, the IRA. What's crazy is this is the second book this week that deals with the IRA and the Irish mob. And this is grittier. I will say this is grittier than the previous Matthew Scudder novels, and those were pretty fucking gritty. But this is dialed up. He's dialing it up. It's very detailed and well written in that way. And one of the things that I loved about this story was every time that Lawrence Block starts to describe Manhattan and the neighborhoods in Manhattan, and he just takes his time, and he's just describing every shop and restaurant that's in Matthew Scudder's like immediate neighborhood, and he takes just such care and delight in describing them. It's just beautiful to read. I don't know why. It's because it's grim. I mean, some of these neighborhoods are grim, but the way that Lawrence Block describes them, you can tell he's putting a loving touch on every word. It's just absolutely great. That's why I love this writer. Anyway, like I said, this is much grimmer than normal. Scudder actually in this book spends some time with his kids. He is divorced. He does have children. He spends some time with his kids. We get to see how he interacts with them. And Scudder knows he's a bad father. He is shit for a father. He's a drunken dude. He's like a drunk investigator, and he's got problems, and he's not good. And he suffers from a lot of trauma from an incident that happened before the series even started. Before, like even in book 1, they talk about this incident that set Matthew Scudder off on his path to self-destruction. And he really is, with each book, he falls deeper and deeper into that path of self-destruction. And I know that it's a cliche, the drunken cop, the drunken investigator, the alcoholic investigator. I mean, it's almost like a crime book noir crime scene cliche. It is. But the way it's done in here, it's just so almost heart-wrenching at some points, because Matthew Scudder just does suffer from trauma. And that trauma stems from when he was in a shootout early on in his career as a police officer. I mean, he's no longer a police officer. But when he was, he ended up shooting some bullets at some criminals, and one of the bullets was a stray, and it killed a little girl. And he's never recovered from that. And I don't think he ever will. I mean, we're book 6 of maybe 20. We'll see. We'll see if he pulls himself out of it. Anyway, I do know that in the Walk Among the Tombstones, which I think is book number 8, 9, or 10, which was filmed with Liam Neeson, the character that played Matthew Scudder, is a very raging alcoholic. So he clearly hasn't solved the problem by that book. But anyway, Walk Among the Tombstones is probably my favorite one so far. I'm going to give this a 9.5 out of 10. I was riveted from the first gorgeous written page to the very last.